This is Balboa Street in the outer Richmond district of San Francisco. So yeah, we've actually been here before in one of the earlier vlogs. I think it was either 4 or 5 at the Hockey Haven, which is a bar that served steaks on Monday Night Football. Ironically, it's called Hockey Haven, but they don't show hockey. But yeah, if you're ever unsure about what to eat or drink, let's try this again. But if you're ever unsure about what to eat or drink, definitely recommend coming out here because there's pretty much anything that you can get, whether it's from coffee to beer, which you can get at the same location, food from Chinese food to Vietnamese, Italian, American, Mexican, boba, pretty much anything you want you can get out here. So highly recommend checking out the Balboa Street in the outer Richmond district. And as for the poker, we're actually gonna hop into a session that I played several days ago at a different property. So I hope you enjoyed the change up. All right, it's Saturday, November 14th here at the California Grand Casino. This place is in Pacheco, California, so it's out in the Concord area. Not super familiar with this area, but I have been here once before, I believe vlog 30, when I had a huge swingy session. And shout out to Kenichi. He's the guy that gave me the recommendation to check this place out. Kenichi is a poker player in the Bay Area, and he just started doing his own vlog. He's from San Jose, California. I'll put a link in the description box below for you to check out his content. Really good stuff there. And actually here with my friend Kevin today in the background here. Some people say we look alike. You guys tell us. But Kevin's one of the lucky people I know that has gotten some Bradley dollars in the past. So I'll put a link in the description below for that video. Anything you want to say, Kev?
It's a beautiful day and Saturday, and just run it up.
All right. So I'm going to be playing some 2-3-5. I think Kevin's going to play some 2-2-3, I believe, and we'll come back with some hands and updates. All right, closing out the session from California Grand Casino. It took a little while to get on the table. We arrived at 3 o'clock and didn't get seated until after 4:30. It's about 8:30 now, so a 4-hour session. Before we dive into the hands and results, just want to give a little bit of an overview of the property and the setup. So this property, just like Lucky Chances, we play 8-handed with plexiglass dividers. Anytime you leave the table and come back, it's mandatory for you to sanitize your hands. So the dealer will sanitize you when you get back. Each player gets an all-in chip that they can throw in to signify a jam, which I think is really helpful because with the masks and the plexiglass dividers, it's hard to hear sometimes, so that was really useful. A couple more things. The buy-in is a 1K cap. They use Faded Spade branded cards, so that was a nice change up. One last thing is the fantastic service here. The front personnel is really jovial and inviting. Dealers were fantastic. Floor was great, kept everything running smoothly. The wait staff was also super friendly. So next you'll actually see the hands that I normally record in the car, but since I'm with my buddy Kevin, I'm gonna do that another day, but it's not gonna make a difference for you because you'll still see the hands after this segment. But I am gonna film the typical outro now, which you're gonna see after these hands. In this first hand, we're playing 7-handed. Low jack raises to $20. I call from the cutoff with ace-3 of hearts and the 2 blinds call as well. We go 4 ways to a flop of 8-3 deuce rainbow, so decent flat with middle pair and some backdoors. Action checks to the low jack who bets pretty large, $100. And he only started the hand with roughly $500, so just not deep enough here to peel. So I decided to let it go, and the blinds fold as well. This next hand is also 7-handed. Low jack limps. I'm in the cutoff with ace deuce of spades, and I raise it to $25. And I get calls from the cutoff and big blind. The low jack folds. 3 ways to a flop of jack 3-3 rainbow. Big blind checks, and I decide to bet $35 for a bit of denial and value. Cutoff folds, big blind calls. Turn comes an ace of hearts, and big blind checks. I decide to check it back for deception. River comes a 4 of spades. Big blind leads for $65. It's at least a call, but I think it threw for a bit considering a raise to push him off a potential chop. But I think he's got enough jack X combos for my call to be a winning and profitable one. So I toss in the chips. He tables ace jack off suit to take it down with top 2. So my assessment of the situation was incorrect, and I think I lose the minimum here. We're going 8-handed now. Button raises to $20. I defend in the big blind with ace-8 of diamonds, and we go heads up to a flop of ace jack 3 with 2 clubs. So I flop top pair on a fairly draw heavy board. Action checks through. Turn comes a deuce of spades, and I check. He bets $25 this time, and with a ton of draws out there, I think I have a hand that functions pretty well as a bluff catcher, so I make the call. River comes a 7 of hearts. Action checks through. I table my hand, and it's good. In this next hand, I raise it to $20 from the low jack with pocket sevens. Small blind puts in a 3-bet to $80, and we're playing roughly 900 deep, so I decide to make the call. Heads up to a flop of ace-9-7 with 2 diamonds, so I flop bottom set on what looks to be a pretty fun board. He checks, I bet $100, and unfortunately he doesn't have much and folds. This next hand is a straddle pot. Small blind completes. I'm in the big blind with king-6 of hearts and I raise it to $50. Straddler tank folds and small blind pretty quickly folds. So a nothing hand here, but I decided to raise it up to give myself a reason to tip the dealer as he called me out by my name before the hand started. So I appreciate the vlog support from the dealer named Frankie. Thank you for supporting the channel, supporting the content. And another good result is that Straddler actually shared that he folded pocket 9. So happy with the result in this one. In the hand immediately after, it's a straddle pot again. Button raises to $25. I'm in the small blind with ace jack offsuit and I 3-bet it to $100. Button calls and we go heads up to a flop of king jack 6 rainbow. I down c-bet it for $70. He makes the call. Turn comes a queen of clubs, and when he calls the flop, I think he's weighted towards hands such as queen 10, king 10, king 9. So when this turn peels off, I should be behind, but I think it's a good spot to continue the aggression now as a clear bluff spot. I block pocket jacks, ace 10, I've got the nut flush blocker, and I can still rep hands like ace king plus. So the only hands I'm really worried about is Beauty and the Beast, and assuming he's weighted towards calling the suited varieties, he should only really have 2 combos, being king queen of spades and king queen of hearts. So I fire $210 as he has $640 back. So if he calls, it sets up for a good river jam. He's in the tank for a pretty long while, counts out his chips, and announces that he thinks I have pocket kings, and he releases his hand. We did later chat about the hand, to which I shared that I turned ace jack into a bluff. He was kind enough to let me know that he folded queen 10.
Thanks.
This next one is yet another straddle pot. Hijack limps. I decide to limp along from the cutoff with pocket deuces, and the button limps as well. Small blind raises to $45. Straddler calls. Hijack folds, and small blind is pretty deep at over 1k effective, so I decide to call, getting a decent price, and the button folds. 3 ways to a flop of ace 10-10 rainbow. Small blind c bets, I believe $60. Straddler folds, and I'm not going to peel here, and I just let it go. And this next one, cutoff limps. I'm on the button with 7-9 offsuit, and I try to steal it with a $25 raise. I get calls from the small blind and big blind. Cutoff folds. 3 ways to a flop of 10-6 deuce with 2 hearts, so I flop a gutter ball to the nuts. Small blind leads for $35, playing roughly $150 back. Big blind calls with $500 back, and I decide to call, getting a decent price to try to hit a clean 3 outer. We go to a turn of a 3 of clubs. Small blind checks. Big blind bets $100, and that's enough to shut the door for me. So I fold, and small blind folds as well. We're playing with the straddle on in this next one. Low jack, who's a pretty tight player, raises to $35. I'm in the hijack with pocket kings, and I 3-bet it to $105. Only the low jack calls. Heads up to a flop of 9-6-4 with 2 hearts. He leads for $160, and it's hard to explain, but it feels 100% like he's got pocket queens based on the player profile and the live table dynamics. So rather than mess around with the call, I decide to jam for $721 effective. He snap calls, and we go to a run out of a 10 and a 5. I table my hand, and he mugs.
Yeah.
Last interesting hand to note, it's a straddle pot. Low jack limps, button limps. I just limp along from the small blind with ace 10 of spades. Big blind completes, and the straddler checks. We go heavily multi-way to a flop of 9-3 deuce with 2 spades, so I flop pretty hard. Checks to the low jack, who bets $40, playing roughly 1k effective. Folds to me, and I'm pushing a lot of equity in this spot, so I check raise it to $120. The other 3 players get out of the way, and the low jack calls. The turn comes a 10 of clubs, so a good card is now I can go from semi-bluffing to value betting, targeting 9x holdings. I bet $140. He makes the call. The river comes a 6 of hearts, so it does complete 4-5, but he shouldn't have that hand too often unless he has exactly 4-5 of spades, which I think that hand would have gotten all the money in before this river. I offer a bit of an exploitative sizing of $200, and he pretty quickly calls. I table my hand, and it's good. In hindsight, I think a polarized sizing on the river may have garnered a call too, since spades bricked out. Nevertheless, happy to take this last hand down. All right, so that wraps it up for the notable hands played. Got in for $900, didn't have to add on. Cashed out $2,127, so nice profit today. Unfortunately, my buddy Kevin took a little bit of a loss, couldn't get unstuck, but the positive is that we're gonna get some food and it's gonna be on me. So with that, I'll see you all on the next one.